Okay, everybody. It is November 22nd, the Friday before Black Friday, the Friday after this adjusted Thanksgiving Day. I guess it's the 28th or something like that. Anyhow, big happy Aloha Friday to you. You're here at the Avocado Show. Of course, you guys know I'm Jeebs, and this is our usual suspects here inside our chat, saying how's it to everybody. And we've got ourselves a long rolling day today of music, and it looks too that it's quite eclectic, as well as some music that I have to parachute in from some folks that Venmo'd me, and I had no idea that I had these out hanging out there in Venmo, and I did not honor them, so I am going to honor them today. So it's a long, fun day of music, and we're going to have ourselves a little bit of fun here. So why don't we start with that? We're going to start with 5 donos that came in last week right after I left my my stream. And then we're going to continue with the fresh donos, starting with most to least. Well, you're all the same to me, but you know what I'm talking about. So why don't we go ahead and start with our very first one. And our very first one, wow, this is who are we going to do here? This is going to be from SB. SB to the rescue. Let's go ahead and see what SB... Oh, look what we're starting with. We're already going to hit with the people's elbow, folks. I hope you guys are ready for this. We're going to be starting with a very nice soft polka. This is coming out of Denmark. And she says, this is one of my favorite bands to see live. You've seen a bit of their live set that I've shared in Discord. This is a brand new track, only released on Thursday. Okay, so this is from SB. What a great way to start our wonderful stream with some very relaxed music, courtesy of SB. All right. Okay, maybe not polka. You know this is gonna bang already, right? Ooh, nice. I wonder if this is the bridge. Oh, what a trip. That snappy gated reverb on that snare, at least what it sounds like, an ultra small plate or something, is badass. Sounds great. Massive combo hybrid of like synth work with that. Metal molasses. That's what I want to call this section. I like how they use engineering techniques now for the new movement of dynamics. Wow. I love the flip in the accents. Absolutely bone-crushing track and a great way to actually start the session here. The first thing that caught my ear was actually the snare sound. I know that's going to sound off, but for some reason I really dialed in on that snare because it was fat enough and in your face and up in the mix that you can kind of peel out the details, at least the way I listened to it. And it had this really kind of like a small plate that actually it felt like it had a reverb on it. Kind of very much how Prince used to do back in the day when he would put a gated reverb on the kick that would actually add as a supplemental part of the rhythm signature because it was timed. That being said, the riff was incredibly powerfully simple, and it wasn't overly chugged to match what was happening with the kick. So in other words, for me, the hearing something of that nature, it wasn't something that was on purposefully written in sync with a lot of the kick work, which gave a lot of space for the drummer to really light the bottom end off with the kick and everything. Vocals, I was a little off, like I am because I'm old and this is why we do what we do here. I thought that section that really glassed off and got really nice and got that little bit of pop sprinkle, angel dust, I'll call it, just for a moment, clean it up, get it nice and sounding, get a discernible melody in there vocally. I thought it was a pre-chorus, like a long pre-chorus, but apparently maybe the thinking of the production is that riff is more of the hook than, let's say, I may have thought maybe there's going to be another banging section that was going to, maybe elevate into a melody. So, also played around a little bit with the rhythms, a little bit with the rhythm back and forth kind of vibe. There was a couple things that the drummer did. The other one, what I thought, I don't know, it caught me off guard and then I couldn't piece it together, but maybe you guys, you guys that have it, had put a little more effort into it. It almost seemed like they flipped the pattern. They still kept it in the 4/4, but at one section they flipped the pattern where the snare was on the 1 and the kick was on the 3. Something happened there. It still stayed in the same meter and everything, but the arrangement changed, and I dug that. So this was Thornhill, and it wasn't polka. Just thought I'd just start off the stream with like, ha, because, yeah. And the name of the track was Nerv. So thank you so much, SB. Looks like you're excited to go see them live. That's a pumper. Okay. So, metal polka. You know what? Don't be surprised. Things are changing so fast. Next up is The Driver. We're going to be listening to some more music here. I think this one is electronic. This one is called Bachelors of Science. The name of the track is Spanish Sun. It's a Bungle remix. Oh, okay. So this track is a personal favorite of Bachelors of Science, an American drum and bass trio, which is notable since most D&B artists are European or Australian. It gives the feeling of driving at 200 miles an hour on a highway, while the sweeping pads, thumping bass lines, and guitar loops create a trance-like state. Very nice dive into your genres there. I always find that I work faster and more efficient with these songs in the background. That's what music's supposed to be. Okay, this apparently was filmed in Rio de Janeiro. This is the driver's suggestion to us here on the stream. Let's do this. All right. love what's going on with the hi-hat from here, because, you know, that means you're anticipating something coming into life. You know, rhythmically, power-wise. I like the slow grow of the sequenced work, the digital arpeggiation work. Love how this is just letting us settle into the groove now, just letting us glide and fly off and trip out. 10 milligrams into a gummy. That'd be a great name for a song, huh? Yeah, you're totally right about being this a track that like keeps you on your work edge. This is really good workflow music. Oh, I love that guitar line with the echoes on it, the delays. Great example of perfectly timed delay to act as an addition to the percussive arrangement. Love that soft pad in the background. Real fun sequence there. Bum, 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 bum. There's a bass there, but it's got like a very thin vibe to it. Totally SP. See, they're leaving us with a little bit of that bass line. Super cool track, and definitely had that driving vibe that was mentioned earlier in the message and stuff. It's something that you just sail through, and it's got also that workflow vibe. So for me, when people, I've had to learn what people call or what the representation is of workflow music. Of course, to each his own, right? But in general, the one thing that I took away when I would go on the internet and I would type in workflow music, and then I'd listen to some of the playlists that pop up. One of the things that they have in common, as far as I listen to, is the fact that they weren't really specifically heavy in melody. Doesn't mean they didn't have really nice arrangements and arrangements that have melodic kind of an expression to it. But what they were very wide open arrangements being supported mostly by some kind of a pad or, ethereal or ambient kind of performance somewhere in the arrangements. So even if it was just, cymbals going and maybe a little bit of way back, you can keep those elements happening, but as soon as you add a nice little soft pad behind it, it gives it a whole different vibe, as if it's like unlocking the key to your workflow. Same thing with driving and music, but to each his own, obviously. So, but it definitely had that, Judgment, that kind of trancey vibe. One of the things that I still am not too sure about, and I'm getting close to understanding, is the difference between D&B and what's the other one called? Jungle or Jungle Rave or Jungle something. Because this was, and the other one, I guess, is where the snare's a lot more active, where there's this and perhaps made a little faster and stuff. I'm getting close to being able to discern it, but, you guys keep me on the rail. Oh, I see what you're saying, Turnip. Yeah, the subgenre is even in that. I mean, it's very metal. The EDM world is very metal when it comes to the subgenres. You tweak one thing and it moves out of this genre and kind of starts to dip into that one. You're funny when I am. Okay, next up, let's see, Halo Fanboy. We're going to be doing some Nier Automatica. Let me see what we got here. We are going to be doing I'm sorry, it wasn't Nier Automatica or Antimonti, forget it. This one is from Nier Gestalt and Nier RepliCant. The name of the tracks are Ashes of Dreams, or Nangdach, which is the German version, I guess. The message that is left for us to soak over while we listen to this is, I love Emmy Evans' voice. The vocals and lyrics were provided by vocalist Emmy Evans, Emiko Rebecca Evans, a singer from England living in Tokyo. How she transformed her own lyrics from a different language into futuristic languages is just incredible. It has such a beautiful sound to my ears. Kiichi Okabe, the lead composer and director, wanted any noticeable words to evoke emotion in the player, and Emi achieved that 100%. All right, guys, let's do this. You guys think it's a good tune? I can see you guys blowing it up here in the chat. Here we go. I was thinking of Emogenous Heap. This is a great example, as you could take some standard chord structure, but allow it to breathe and live differently with these arrangements. The interpretation of the composer with the strings, etc. The engineering on the strings have a softer, nostalgic vibe to it, which I love. There's a little French horns back there. Can you hear the horn section? Nice little intimate engineering right there. Went from breathing reverbs into this small intimate pocket right here. Even piano's kind of mono-ish. Leave us a little hanging out there on that last chord. One of the things about this, I think Turnip said it earlier too. Somebody had said, or was it Turnip that said, it reminded me of "Fly Me to the Moon." Fly me to the moon. That whole that was the chord pattern. And this is why I was saying earlier, in more of a safe way, that the chord patterns that were being there were common. You know, nothing exciting as far as like, you know, taking any chances. That pattern's a pattern that's been used quite a few times. But what makes it uniquely this song is the melody that's playing over the pattern, as well as the arrangements that support, you know, the melody that she's singing, even though the chord pattern is the same. I don't know if that makes sense to many, but if you could still play these chords, but if the melody is completely different and the arrangements are completely different, it's almost like it's almost like saying you could put on the same set of tires on 3 different cars, but if the body and the motor and the interior is completely different, you might recognize the tires as it drives by and go, whoa, hey, I recognize that, but the whole car is a whole different thing. I don't know if that metaphor worked. Very safe arrangements with the strings as well. Everything about this was about flowing and beautiful and soft and not, you know, not having you really think about the music more than how beautiful it was. One of the things and the techniques in this, as far as I'm concerned, that is a smile for me, is when you actually take your piano and on purposely you close up the panning. You could still have 3 mics, you know, to get a nice even pan in the piano, depending what kind of piano and what you're miking it with, blah, blah, blah. But doesn't necessarily mean that you open everything up, like the left and the right in the panning, all the way up to get a stereo image. A lot of times you can close that panning in the mix and then make it sound like the piano is really just coming in, you know, between 10 and 2, you know. And one of the great techniques with that is that it still can be established a little bit as a stereo sound. If you have a little bit of reverb on it and stuff, it'll give you the imaging. But one of the things that is really fun about that is that when the strings came in and the horn arrangement came in just lightly in the back, you really got a wonderful sensation of the song opening up, you know, because that's in stereo. So that's a technique. It's a really fun technique the composers use and stuff. The track was very fun. It was very subtle. It was very, excuse me, very meant to make us go, ah. So I went, ah. Next up, Great Sage Sun. We're going to listen to some Bear McCreary. Bear McCreary, one of the busiest composers ever, and rightfully so. Great Sage Sun wants us to listen to a track called Wander My Friends. It looks like this is going to be a live track. And I'll probably get blocked for it because it looks like it's from Battlestar Galactica. But hey, if, you know, that's what I'm known for, right? I'm Senior Block. I got 2 strikes against my channel, 1 more, and I'm like, I think one of them are supposed to expire in about a week or so. So we'll see. So Great Sage Sun says Battlestar Galactica was Bear's first big TV project. It was this show where he met his wife, the lady singer here, Raya. For wondering viewers, that young woman rocking the cello is indeed the future famous musician Tina Gao. This song is performed in Scottish Gaelic, which is a distant call of home. Some of amazing memories abroad, the greatest ship in the fleet. Okay. I kind of butchered the last bit of your message there, Great Sage Sun, but I'm sorry. All right, let's do this. I always love listening to things. You know, Bear McCreary and Austin Wintory have become one of my top-level composers added to the list that I didn't know did exist until I got into the gaming music. You know, finding other composers. This has been an enriching journey. You guys know that. I say that all the time. Okay, here we go. You know, Bear McCreary also has a really wonderful conducting technique. The fluidity with his hands and the expression is so important. Oh, look at the little bear. The Cubby Bear. Sorry. Tough to keep in tight because they're playing off of monitors and not headsets. Beautiful cinematic melody with this. Beautiful flow. I love the fact that they're all up there too in, like, you know, their lunch wear. Oh, I hear dirt. Nice. Oh yeah, there's a fender. Okay, I heard a little bit of a crunch in there. Emoji right there for this. Wow. That was so wonderful. Very folksy, yeah, you know, without a doubt. First of all, just visually, I just loved how they just seemed like they called the musicians up out of the audience. They come on in, let's play a little bit, let's get together. It's almost like let's have a couple pints, kick back, talk story, let's do a folk song. And because of the style of this folk song that was mentioned earlier, you know, about 3 or 4 people chimed in with that kind of Titanic vibe. I think that's going to be an automatic whenever you hear anything open up with that kind of a pulse that's established, very light pulse, and you have that reed instrument or that flute instrument that opens up. That's very much, you know, reminds you of the Titanic theme. Also in tempo, pretty much close, I think. But it was very folksy. So obviously staying within that cultural theme, it pulls you right to it. Now, I didn't know what to expect as far as it breaking out of it, but Bear really wove together some great arrangements within the string section and everything to express itself loudly enough without feeling like it got drowned out. You know, I'm watching as I'm listening to see if I could see and sneak anything. Just like I said earlier, I go, oh, wait a second, I hear a little dirt. I'm hearing a little dirt there, and then I realized there's got to be an electric guitar, and there was a guy hiding in the back there with a Strat, or it looked like a Strat. So if he kicked up a little bit of the dirt in that growing section, not groin, growing section. I'm just saying, gotta watch the flow of the chat here. And it was good. I mean, it's wonderful to see a younger, Bear McCreary. Watch that trajectory. I think it's fantastic, you know. So really fun track, really super chill. Great Sage Son, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to continue on. If you're new here to the stream, aloha, how's it? If you're just looking in the background, we just listen to music. There's a form at the top of the chat that you can put in. So if I spin a little wheel of cheese, your profile name's on it, your song's there and it lands on it. We listen to it. If not, just enjoy the lurk. Next up is Amon. Just donated $40,000. Oh, no way, dude. Really? Stanley Clarke? Guys, we're doing Stanley Clarke here. And that has a really close reference for me because the George Duke Stanley Clarke projects is what launched my dad's career into the pop world of string arrangements for the next 30 years of his career. So George Duke got a hold of my father after he did a bunch of work on another project. George Duke heard my dad, and then when the Duke Clarke project started to pop, they brought my dad in on that, and that from that point on, that was the very first super major step to my father's composing career as a string arranger and an orchestrator in the pop music world from the 1970s till he died in 2010. So, you know, thank you, Amon. You just brought it right back into the house for me. So, this track is by Stanley Clarke. The song is Life is Just a Game. And the little message is here. My dad has been a core musical force throughout my formative years. Even after moving apart, talking music has always been our fondest common ground to share throughout life. That's cool. This 1976 album, School Days, was the key inspiration behind my dad picking up and practicing bass for over 45 years. Even cooler. And a deep-rooted sound that saturated through my childhood. Of course it would, because boom, 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 boom. Stanley Clarke, Chris Squire, and Cliff Burton were the 3 musicians that showed me how the bass could be more than just roots or fifths or simply doubling the guitar. Mahalo as always. Oh, thank you. Aloha. So let's vibe out with this album together. All right, let's do this. Let's go. Thank you, Amon. My brain just automatically went back into the studio in the 70s and seeing George and Stanley at my dad's house doing work. And I'm like, who are these guys? I'm like, fuck. I was such an idiot back then. I don't know how much has changed since, but yeah, here we go. Yeah. Bringing the sexy in on that. Ooh.
So life is just a game, and there's many ways to play, and all you do is choose. La, la,
The swimminess of the EP. A lot of legato work on his bass playing, yeah. Not every note got the right hand. I'm sorry, for a second it reminds me, I go into Fly Like an Eagle. I don't know why there. So nostalgic, everything from the musicianship and the arrangement, but the engineering as well. The 70s fusion soul vibe is just... little squawky moog. Remember, there's no quantizing in here. Just wanted to say, pure 100% technique and musicianship. Has kind of a Jorge Strunz vibe to it, that guitar playing. A little bit of Demiola. Oh. Sprinkles of Beck. Almost sounds like there's a room mic in front of Stanley. Can you hear that little clav in the back? This is so tremendously influential at its time. This is such groundbreaking type of music and composition and musicianship. The 70s was that, but this was mind-numbing. God, that opening, that's kind of sounded a little bit like Heading for Backstage Pass, that opening, that Jeff Beck. Listen to that drum engineering in the kit. That was trippy. I wonder who played drums on this. Wouldn't surprise me if it was Alex Cunha. Billy Colvin. Aman, you brought it to the house. You know, this music, this song that Aman brought into us has such... There's so many different genres that were influenced by the technical and the masterful musicianship and arrangements of this era that bled into everything that we hear and listen to. Everything. Metalcore... everything. Of course, every genre will make it their own and do the things they do with the sounds and stuff like that. But just, it's wonderful that I was alive during this period in the sense where I can connect the dots and be able to say, oh, wow, look at that. And then this, you know, this all coming from an era in the 70s, especially. What was that other track we listened to last time? I think Lisa, I don't know if it was Lisa. I think Lisa brought it in. We listened to the whole album. I can't remember. Forgive me. That prog rock band that we did last time. That was like about a 40-minute listen. Where you listen to these tracks and they're identifiers. They are like the soil turners, if you would, with their experimentation and stuff like that. That actually gave birth to so much of what to this day we still listen to. In my world, any composer that's going to maybe perhaps, Nectar, thank you very much, that's going to connect itself into how far they can push themselves is it's almost like got to be somewhere in a 2 or 3 month period in their life where they have to dive into the 70s and listen to what was happening at this period, just for schooling. You know what I'm saying? You take and you just have all these little pieces here. And it's really unique, though, because like I was saying, wow, that line was, you know, that Jeff Beck kind of headed for, or Lead Boots. Maybe it was Lead Boots. I think it was Lead Boots. There was a line there that had a little bit of a Jeff Beck Lead Boots vibe. But this was that era of pushing the limit beyond, like, and then there was Frank Zappa. You would agree with me, Amon? But I think it's great too, Amon, that you and I both, in this era of the music that you just played, how we connected with our fathers. You know what I'm saying? Yours and your journey with your dad, mine and my journey with my father, and my uncle especially, you know, with his band Caldera and stuff, that connection and all that, and seeing that all unfold, you know, around me, and me not have any idea of what it was I was around, because I was just a dumbass, getting high surfer, you know, drummer kind of guy, and I wasn't aware of my environment until later. But nostalgically, it is such a tremendous thing to come back to, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Aman. And by the way, you mentioned Billy Cobham, right? The drummer was on that. I know that I think my dad did an arrangement for Billy as well. I think one or two. I think Billy might have done a couple projects on his own. And I remember going through my dad's charts after he passed away, and I went, what? Something like that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You struck a chord. It was a flatted fifth, sharped seventh, add 13, diminish. Because I kind of would have. Anyhow, forward and onward and forward. Next up, 1 a.m. bus. 1 a.m. bus. This is not a shill. He didn't jump in line. You know you don't have to do this, bro, but we're doing this. Oh, hey, guys, we're doing some Opeth. You know, I've had a lot of people ask me about the new Opeth, and I don't know if this is going to be the one, but apparently there's these chapters or something that are, is it chapters? Well, let me read what he says here. He doesn't say a damn thing. This guy, no, I'm kidding. Opeth's new album dropped today. This is the second track. So apparently what I understand is that Opeth has these chapters or something. Or you guys would know better than me. Paragraphs, thank you. But I looked at it and it had the weird squiggly line 1, weird squiggly line 2, and I'm not that, you know, learned, because I write good. And those of you who got that, you should be laughing by now. But so I didn't know where to start, and I had all these people, you know, oh, dude, you got to check out the new Opeth, and everybody knows I'm a great Opeth fan. So let's go ahead and do this. This is chapter 2. And yeah, I just want to make sure I grab that code. All right, guys, you ready? Let's go. Ooh, wow, some old school Opeth grind there. Very macabre, kind of in a theatrical horror kind of way. Very musical theater vibes. Ooh, very nice backgrounds.
Forgive transgressions. It is through him we can distinguish right from wrong. A pure handmaid gave birth to a girl in our care. We are compelled to persevere in place of the estranged father.
got kind of like a metal Transylvania-ishy, you know, grind to it. Especially with a bit of storytelling. God, that was great with the vocals. I like an old Rhodes. It's almost as if they're reining in all the years of comp styles. Dynamic-wise, I like how they pop the Rhodes onto this side. These are great vocals. Those background vocals, man, they're just kind of screeching of yes. I guess it would be fair to say that because I haven't heard chapter 1, and most likely there's a chapter 3 after this. I don't know how many chapters are in this. This had that, the vibe of the whole thing was I was in the middle of something, you know, coming in onto, but having that kind of theatrical rock, horror kind of vibe. Obviously, we even opened up with that kind of church, very low end, you know, large church organ-ish kind of vibe, you know, cathedral style. A lot of the vocal performance, I thought this vocal performance was insane. And what I mean by that is, I'm not talking about range. I'm not talking about, I mean, the tone was great, but the performance I thought was super badass. One of the things that I kind of was going, wow, when I had said earlier, it seems like they're pulling in elements from a very long journey of being Opeth into this track. You know, still some of the darker, growlier parts of that discography, and then some of the glassier, more whimsical storytelling, kind of scary, you know, with the chord change. The chord changes were paramount in me getting the vibes that I'm getting, because it was very shit, you know, and that's me. But if while you listening to it, if it gave you that kind of vibe where it was like, you know, where is this creeping? In the meantime, with a really super wonderful melody that carried through all those odd chord changes, and then you didn't have really ultra aggressive guitar riffage going on here, and so it allowed, and with the chord changes, allowed the track to live in a different way instead of like diving into like, ooh, spicy drums, spicy guitars, ooh, spicy bass. No, it was a really well written piece of music that pulled in all these little elements. I believe that was like, even though my journey with Opeth is not anywhere near as divinely deep as the Opeth fan base, but it was enough by going through the Decomposer Lounge to hear enough of the tracks to go, oh, you know, kind of get a little taste of the discography. And then finally, the last thing about the track that made me go, wee, was the background vocals. There was a couple of background vocal sections there that were really super cool. Very, very clean, but very well written and very unpredictable. In other words, they were so beautiful and it was so wonderful, but something I wouldn't have predicted to have put in there. And they did. They went, you know, so. Yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That was fantabulous. Okay, next up, we have Makuzia. Thank you, 1AM, for that, by the way. Makuzia, how are you? What is going on? Welcome here to Happy Aloha Friday. And let's see what we got here. Makuzia is bringing into the house. Every time I listen to a song from Makuzia, though, I feel like I got to get a chiropractic adjustment because I feel like the Victrola dog and like, ooh, nice twist, really good, solid, unique soundtrack you must have at your place here, or at your place. So Makuzia wants us to listen to something from Genshin Impact. I believe this is our first. Is Genshin Impact an anime? Or is it a video game? I forget. Copy. It's a game. Okay. Well, I'm looking at the thumbnail here, guys. Looks like we get to we get to watch some live performance from an orchestral. It's Natlan Live Symphony. So, I don't know where Natlan is from, but we'll find out. Let's do this. All right. Here we go. Let's settle in now. It's going to be like 9 minutes of beauty. So let's all cruise.
Shambulia bebasila Pikana pakamwishowe Kwantie tututau
Oof. Beautiful choral arrangement. I love the dancing clarinet. Beautiful tone in the string section with that pensive drive of the ostinato. Subtle horn arrangements, but they're really nice back there. This has a real good, a powerful, positive call to action energy to it. Like as if it's assembling the main characters to action for the big battle or something. I know it was an acoustic guitar, Natlan in there, but it sounded string instruments. It sounded like a steel. I'm just being stupid. So you'll probably hear the horn, woodwinds and horn section lift too. Bit of a Middle Eastern Arabic vibe there at the end. So I take it there's parts of the game that maybe are in different continents or something? Like there's an emphasis here on perhaps being in Africa or East Africa or something? That sounds great. God, this has got to be great music for a vibe in the game where you're building something or doing something busybody work without engaging in any battle. Oh, that makes sense, Makuzia. Now I get it. Nice. Little elements that kind of remind me of what's a video game I listened to a few songs like Civilization or the A composer by the last name of Tim or Kim or Tam. Baba Yetu, right. What was the name of that composer, though? Christopher Tin. But this is a little more bolder. That's not a dig, but... This instrument player's been pretty busy. Great balance on the mix. Maybe that's where I pulled it from, Makuzia. I love the chanting of the choir behind it. What a wonderful video to watch for me. You know, Makuzia, how I love to watch live musicians play, and when it comes to orchestral works. Even though the obvious is this was a stage performance for recorded already, in playback and stuff, because it just was. But like I say, when I connect the dots, and I love to watch the musicians and stuff do their thing. It adds that little extra element for me to really just kind of soak into, enjoy into. The reference, I guess, that you were telling me too about Christopher Tin or Abba Yatu. I'm sorry, what was it? What did you say it was? Baba Yatu. Abba Yatu. Sorry, this is the Avocado Show. I get confused. I understand that reference when you had said, the first half of that was Swahili. Then I was like, oh yeah, okay, now how I pulled it. But then at the same token, I think too, when certain composers, or we've talked about this before, that there is just kind of a go-to style of composing music when you're maybe focusing on a particular region on the planet. Might have a little bit more of a percussive sound, a little bit more of or choral, or even a change of the choral sounds and tones based on wherever in the continent that might be focusing on. Great case in point is the background vocals in tracks, let's say from Samoa and Tonga, opposed to areas in Africa are going to be or in Cuba. There's different ways that culturally they write their background vocals and stuff. So if you're going to hit an element, if you're going to hit a culture or a country in trying to relay the arrangement, you're going to jump on that. The other thing is that. Because this is a game that I'm not aware of, because I also like to just watch and listen. In the back of my mind, when I had said in the first piece, and then you also chimed in, Makuzia, on the fact that this was kind of a build-up. The second one, there was kind of a go-go, kind of a cabbage. Sorry. This was kind of how would I say that? More of a lighthearted, upbeat, positive vibe of let's get it together. We're about to make a difference. Or it was, we did this, not quite ultra celebratory, but it was very, like, families are coming together, everybody came together, almost as if it was maybe an end piece. I don't know, meaning it could have been title, it could have been the end title, or it could have been at celebrating a section of the game. That was very positive. One of the things that I enjoyed on this particular track on the second half is there was about 16 bars where the choral or the choir, notice it's a much smaller section, had a really nice percussive arrangement that you may not have heard necessarily the tones as perfect as you did the the accents of the cha, ka, ku, ju, te, the enunciation points percussively that added to that. So that was really, really great. And I loved also the intermingling of the instruments throughout, changing from nose flute to this to that, giving us different sounds and all that. Thank you so much, Makuzia. You're always very kind and generous, and it's always good to see you here on the stream. I appreciate it. Sorry, I almost choked in the middle of it. Caught a peanut down my throat. That wouldn't have been no fun. Let me see. Judgment Kazi. How you beezy? You is up nexty. Judgment Kazi. Dum. Let me see if I'm going a good read before I listen to this. Okay, he told me I've got to give the background a good read. Shall I share it, or do you want me to read it? So this is a band. And stand by for a second. I got to get to it. Let's see. So this is a band called Arlo Guthrie. Oh, it's not a band, it's an artist. Alice's Restaurant. Okay. I am going to read this. Well, it looks like you made it. So that first part of your message I can go over because you're here, right? You're hanging out. So, hey, Jeeds, I'm sending you another song that is very special to me. For context, every year when my family would travel for Thanksgiving, we would have the radio on in my car. My father, who was always behind the wheel, loved classic rock. So we would have our usual classic rock station, 98.5 FM, Delmarva's classic rock, and we'd begin our journey up to my relatives up in north to either New York or Massachusetts, depending on who was hosting that year. About 2 years into the journey, 2 hours, long journey. It was an Amish journey. No, about 2 hours into the journey, the radio host would give his usual Thanksgiving spiel and would begin to recite a backstory to a song they play every year. Only once a year, this very song, Alice's Restaurant, it would be this one song, Alice's Restaurant. It's a long one, but by the time I was 8 years old, I knew every word to this 18-minute journey, and the whole car would kick into musical chorus as we sing along note for note as it played over the radio. It became something I look forward to and honor to this day. Even when I don't get to travel, I might not be able to make it to the stream next week, so I figured, no, you made it, and we did it, and we're doing this here for you right now. So let's all relax and enjoy this very nostalgic song from Judgment Kazi. You guys ready? Let's do this. All right. You already know you gotta love this on the drive somewhere. Family gathering.
This song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant is not the name of the restaurant, that's just the name of the song. And that's why I called the song Alice's Restaurant.
Oh, it's live. That's great.
You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant.
What a great song for driving.
You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Now it all started 2 Thanksgivings ago. It was on 2 years ago on Thanksgiving when my friend and I went up to visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice doesn't live in the restaurant. She lives in the church nearby the restaurant.
This guy's
in the
great.
Bell Tower,
What a
with her
storyteller.
husband Ray and Facha the dog. And living in the Bell Tower like that, they got a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And having all that room, seeing as how they took out all the pews, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there, we found all the garbage in there, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the city dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes
God,
and
a
implements
microbus.
of destruction, and headed on toward the city dump. Well, we got there, and there's a big sign and a chain across the dump saying closed on Thanksgiving, and we had never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before, and with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset looking for another place to put the garbage. We didn't find one. Till we came to a side road, and off the side of the side road was another 15-foot cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff was another pile of garbage, and we decided that one big pile was better than two little piles, and rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Drove back to the church, had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning when we got a phone call from Officer Obi. Said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage, and just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obi, I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." After speaking to Obi for about 45 minutes on the telephone, we finally arrived at the truth of the matter and said that we had to go down and pick up the garbage and also had to go down and speak to him at the police officer station. So we got in the red VW
police officer
microbus with
station.
the shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, headed on toward the police officer station. Now, friends, there was only one or two things that Obi could have done at the police station, and the first was that he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. Another thing was that he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't even counted upon, and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, "Obi, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car," and that's what we did, and sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the, quote, "scene of the crime," unquote. I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this happened. Here they got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers and 1 police car, but when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in the newspaper story about it. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster, tire track, footprints, dog-smelling prints, and they took 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. Took pictures of the approach,
Grilling
the
the
getaway,
small
the
little
northwest
town
corner,
cops.
the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. After the ordeal, we went back to the jail. Obi said he was going to put us in the cell. Said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in the cell. I want your wallet and your belt." And I said, "Obi, I can understand you want my wallet so I don't have any money to spend in the cell, but what do you want my belt for?" And it said, "Kid, we don't want any hangings." I said, "Obi, did you think I was going to hang myself for littering?" Obi said he was making sure, and friends Obi was, because he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. And he took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the toilet paper out the window, slide down the roll, and have an escape. Obi was making sure, and it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? It's a song about Alice. Alice came
That's
by
right.
with a few nasty words to Obi on the side, bailed us out of jail. We went back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Obi came in with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back each one. Sat down. Man came in, said, "All rise." We all stood up, and Obi stood up with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and the judge walked in, sat down with the seeing-eyed dog, and he sat down. We sat down.
Sat down with the seeing eye dog.
Then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and looked at the seeing-eyed dog. And then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and began to cry, because Obi came to the realization that it was a typical case of American blind justice, and there wasn't nothing he could do about it. And the judge wasn't going to look at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And we was fined $50 and had to pick up the garbage in the snow, but that's not what I came to tell you about.
It's Alice's restaurant.
Came to talk about the draft. We got a building down New York City. It's called Whitehall Street, where you walk in and you get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. I went down to get my physical examination one day, and I walked in, I sat down, got good and drunk the night before, so I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning. Because I wanted to look like the all-American kid from New York City. Man, I wanted to feel like I wanted to be the all-American kid from New York, and I walked in, sat down, I was hung down, brung down, hung up, and all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I walked in, I sat down, they gave me a piece of paper, said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. And I went up there, I said, "Shrink, I want to kill." And I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. I mean, kill. And I started jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill! And it started jumping up and down with me, and we was both jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill! And the sergeant came over, came to Natlan, and set me down the hall, said, "You're our boy." I didn't feel too good about it. Proceeded on down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all kinds of stuff that they was doing to me at the thing there. And I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and I was just having a tough time there. And they was inspecting, injecting every single part of me, and they wasn't leaving no part untouched. Proceeded through, and when it finally came to see the very last man, I walked in, sat down after a whole big thing there, and I walked up and said, "What do you want?" He said, "Kid, we only got one question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I proceeded to tell the story of Alice's restaurant, Massacre, with full orchestration and 5-part harmony and stuff like that, and then other phenomena. Stopped me right there and said, "Kid, did you ever go to court?" I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. And stopped me right there and said, "Kid, I want you to go over and sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid."
You realize for 10 minutes they were holding that pattern while he was speaking?
Over to the bench there, and there's
guitar
Group
work and
W's where they put you if you may not be moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench there. Mother rapers, father stabbers, father rapers sitting right there on the bench next to me, and one, they was mean and nasty and ugly and horrible and crime-fighting guys was sitting there on the bench. And the meanest, ugliest, nastiest one, the meanest father raper of them all, was coming over to me, and he was mean and ugly and nasty and horrible and all kinds of things. And he sat down next to me and
Judgment,
said,
is he playing guitar too?
"What'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage." I said, what were you arrested for, kid? And I said, littering. And they all moved away from me on the bench there to carry on all kinds of mean, nasty things till I said, and creating a nuisance. And they all came back, shook my hand, and we had a great time on the bench talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping, all kinds of groovy things that we was talking about on the bench. And everything was fine. We were smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things until the sergeant came over. Had some paper in his hand, held it up and said, kids, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 sentences, 58 words. We want to know details of the crime.
Sounds a little like Gallagher.
Thing got said, turn about the crime. Want to know the rest of the officer's name and that kind of thing you got to say. And it talked for 45 minutes and nobody understood a word that he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. And I filled out the massacre with the 4-part harmony and wrote it down there just like it was, and everything was fine, and I put down a pencil and I turned over the piece of paper, and there on the other side, in the middle of the other side,
Just the tone of his voice. What a great storyteller.
away from everything else on the other side, in parentheses, capital letters, quotated, read the following words. Kid, you rehabilitated yourself. I went over to the sergeant and said, Sergeant, you've got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I'm sitting here on a bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench. Because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids' houses, and villages after being a litter bug. He looked at me and said, Kid, you don't like your kind.
Truth hurts.
We're gonna send your fingerprints off to Washington, and friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in some little folders, a study in black and white of my fingerprints. And the only reason I'm singing you the song now is because you may know somebody in a similar situation. Or you may be in a similar situation, and if you're in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do, is walk into the shrink wherever you are. Just walk in and say, shrink. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant and walk out.
I wonder if we're going to circle back to Alice's restaurant.
You know, if one person, just one person does it, they may think he's really sick and they won't take him. And if two people do it in harmony, they think they're both faggots and they won't take either of them. And if 3 people do it, can you imagine 3 people walking in, singing a bar, Alice's restaurant, and walking out? They may think it's an organization. And can you imagine 50 people a day? I said 50 people a day walking in, singing a bar, Alice's restaurant, and walking out. And friends, they may think it's a movement. And that's what it is. The Alice's Restaurant Anti-Massacre Movement. And all you gotta do to join is to sing it the next time it comes around on the guitar. With feeling. So we'll wait till it comes around on the guitar here. Sing it when it does. Here it comes. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back. Just a half a
Everybody,
mile from
come
the
on,
railroad
guys.
track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. That was horrible. If you want to end war and stuff, you gotta sing loud. You can could put a lot. I've been singing the song now for 25 minutes. I could sing it for another 25 minutes. I'm not proud or tired. So we'll wait till it comes around again, and this time with 4-part harmony and feeling. We're just waiting for it to come around is what we're doing. All right now.
Here we go. I think right here, right? Maybe.
You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Excepting Alice. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. So walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track.
Everybody.
And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. At Alice's restaurant.
Judgment Kazi. I totally see how this was that family nostalgic track that when you family get into the car. For some reason, I was thinking of the, as soon as the music started, I in my mind, I got a hold a little bit of the image in my head of the Griswolds, you know, getting into their, you know, station wagon to make their trek, you know. What I've never heard of the track before because my head's in the clouds back then. Quick question. I know this is obviously it says right here, original 1967 recording. So, man, that is such a great track. And a lot of people chimed in with nostalgia here. You know, I think I think my crew here is probably up above the a good percentage is up above the 45-year-old mark. What a phenomenal storyteller. Is that what this guy's, is Arlo Guthrie, is that his thing? Is it's speaky guitar playing? Or was this like a breakaway? You know, like a track that was like in between something. Like, let me tell you a story while I do this, you know. Oh, this was his thing. Oh, okay. And it's a Vietnam protest draft song too as well. Oh yeah, 1967. That was right at the armpit of it all. That was the harsh time. That was the harsh period. What a fantastic track. I didn't even feel like 18 minutes. It didn't. I was so well entertained that I didn't even... So much the theater of the mind. Plus the tone of his voice, how he tells the story. You know? And the cadence, too. And the cadence in which he said a lot of this stuff. Obviously, when you're playing it against the rhythm, you know, you don't have to necessarily be in time. There was a lot of times where he was just speaking and flowing with it. But, damn... That was just insane. I loved that.